Hello, welcome back. We are in round 7, meaning this is the last round before the top 8. We already have some people in the top 8. One of them I have here. The good part for us is because he already qualified, he can now cast this round for us, giving us some insight into the legacy knowledge. And then after this round, we have a very, very awesome round playing Andrea against Pivo for top 8. And after this round, we're obviously going to see the top 8. Yeah. So you can tell the audience you're already top 8. What are you playing? Who are you?
So, hi everyone. It's a sudden appearance, I know. I'm Messiah, otherwise known as Myra in the Magic community. I'm sponsored by Ultra Pro, and I'm part of the Team Worldly Council. And happens to be Mengu and Pivo are my teammates. So, seeing my friends battling it out, pretty cool.
Very nice. And we jump right into the game and we see Marco on Severely Breakfast.
Mhm.
That is the same deck that you play, right? Didn't you say that?
Yes, exactly.
So
So, I actually beat a blue-black reanimator against Elliot in round 5. So, I'm pretty familiar with how this match goes. Um, and just for background info, yeah, Marco has the draw, so he has to win this round to make top 8 as well. And Mengu, depending on tiebreakers, we'll see how it goes. So a very key part of the game is that Mengu's able to Thoughtseize away the Cephalid away. However, Marco has the Saga on 1 into the Shuko. This is super important because Saga is basically a uncounterable suspend 2 for the equipper or the targeter. So
mhm.
without a key counterspell like Daze or uh, Force of Will, Cephalid can just run away with the milling the whole deck combo.
So is there an window of interaction that Andrea is looking for, specifically to interrupt the combo? What is the best place to interrupt it? Like where's the point where you are the weakest as a Cephalid Breakfast player?
So first, I'd say you have to look at the mana base. It's a strange thing to mention, but for example, right now we see people without a blue green land, without a green mana source that can also
Mhm.
tap for blue. This is super important because what it means is that if Pivo goes through the combo of milling his entire library and the Narcomoebas come back, um, Mengu's actually able to just counter the Dread return and Pivo would mill out.
So if somebody who doesn't play that much Legacy, what is your game plan by playing Cephalid Breakfast?
So Cephalid Breakfast is a 2-card combo designed around Cephalid Illusionist and one of the equippers or targeters like Shuko or Nomad and Core, where for 0 mana you get to target the Cephalid. Cephalid reads that whenever it's activated by or abilities or spells, you mill 3 cards.
Mhm.
So with this, you basically for free mill out your entire library, and your deck will contain 2 to 3 copies of Narcomoeba, which will trigger from the graveyard. So then, with the 3 creatures in play, plus Thassa's Oracle in the graveyard and Dread Return in the graveyard, you flash back the Dread Return to animate a Thassa's Oracle to then win the game with its trigger.
Awesome. And on the other side, we see Andrea playing a kind of standard blue-black reanimator, which doesn't win on the spot. It doesn't have the potency to win the game in a singular turn, but has very big creatures like Atraxa, like Archon of Purity, or, I mean, the Troll of Chasm Doom, which is the biggest and best target, but it still hits for 6. So Andrea is taking somewhat of the control matchup in this role because his winning conditions is weaker.
Yes. And I would say one interesting thing that people has to worry about is that yes, he's a combo deck, but his win condition is fragile in some angles. For example, if you get your Dread Return countered, you basically just die because you milled your whole deck without the green mana to Memory's Journey back, Thassa's Oracle back to the library. Or, for example, here, Mengu could do a Thoughtseize on the Thoracle and then reanimate the Thoracle. So then Pivo just doesn't have a way to get it the Thoracle trigger without the one copy of Teferi.
So you're saying the best zone is still the battlefield, but on my side, because then you can't snack it away. That's actually quite funny. You're still looking at the Oracle on the battlefield, but you cannot access it because, well, it's not yours anymore. I see in the deck list, by the way, if all of you want to have access to deck list, all the deck lists of the players are on the Unity website, where you can see the Unity points and the next tournaments. But the website, it also has the deck list. I see there's also Nadu in the Cephalid Breakfast list, fulfilling a different form of the combo.
Yes, so basically Nadu is the B plan of the deck. You basically take a control role rather than the combo role to say, okay, I'm going to use these Shukos, these Nomad triggers to generate cards in which I will, Swords of Plowshares or creatures, counter reanimates, and take over that way and beat down from the air. This matchup, usually that's a very strong way to approach the matchup because that lets you interact more and it's less of a double-edged sword, unlike the Cephalid combo.
And looking at the deck list, you also chose to play the Nadu version of that deck, which I assume answers the question from the chat. Is the Nadu version better? You would say yes, because obviously you're playing it.
Play the broken cards.
If they're banned in other formats, chances are, they're also good in Legacy. That is true.
So here, looking at the battlefield, we see like Mengu's done a really good job of scoping his hand, not committing too hard to the reanimate plan, rather just
Oh,
build
and
up
the
the battlefield.
concede from Marcio.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. That
So
was only one land, yeah.
yeah, it seems that he had two lands, the Saga, but it went off, only grabbed the Shuko, and just couldn't develop his mana from there. I also saw that Pivo had Thassa's Oracle and Dread Return in his hand, which is just the dead cards.
It's
That's the
funny.
risk of playing the deck.
You're playing the cards not to meant to be in your hand, but actually be milled over by the Cephalid Breakfast combo. That means if you draw both of them, especially if you're constricted on mana, then you basically concede it because you can't use them. They're not meant to be in your hand.
Mhm.
This is, well, sometimes, yeah, some of these games you will just draw them and you kind of go like, ooh, that's not meant to happen.
Yeah, so basically, Mengu's done a good job controlling the battlefield, rode his interactions backed up by Murktide to victory, and now Marco's looking to, you know, um, come prepared and fight the sideboard games. I would say the sideboard matches are significantly better for the Cephalid deck because, like Marco's doing at the moment, and I also did, you literally side out the whole combo, like the four
Mhm.
Cephalids, the Dread Returns, the Thassa's Oracle, and the Narcomoebers.
Mhm.
So you bring in the extra pieces of interactions. For example, like the Graveyard Hate that you can also fetch off of sagas such as Soulguide Lantern or Ghost Vacuum, or generically strong uh, interactions such as Force of Negation, which is easier to hardcast, and Teferi, which helps you both bounce threats such as Troll, or even just help you resolve your Nadu. I also know that Marco plays extra copies of Cavern of Souls, which is a silver bullet, the absolute best card you could have um, against any blue decks. So Mengu would have to, while using Thought Seizers and Entombs to try and progress his board, he would also need to be mindful of potential sagas and caverns. So would have to look for the wastelands.
They do have open deck lists, meaning that you get to see your opponent's deck list before the game, but also during sideboarding. You get to see what they bring and what you might bring. Obviously, Andrea and Pivo are very good friends, so they probably already know what's going on. Here we see the deck list on the screen. This by Andrea. Sideboarding, probably just a lot more interaction, and then hoping to close the game as quick as possible.
Yeah, so usually Fairy Macabre is a card that's in most legacy decks at the moment because of this blue black reanimator. So
Mhm.
Andrea really wants to sidestep all these graveyard hate and play the interacting beatdown role. So I expect things like Go for the Throat to kill Nadu, Doughty Voidwalker, as well as Barrogoyf, and potentially the extra Bowmasters to play fair.
And then the plan is to just play a Murktide as a card from hand instead of relying on the reanimate plan. And you
Exactly.
said your secret hidden strategy is to board out all the combo pieces. Now, I assume Andrea is going to know that as well because Pivo and Andrea are going to talk about that strategy.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
we
And
did.
here you see a Memories Journey in hand, and that is a combo card where you
Hmm.
can mill your whole deck and then flashback it with a green mana to put Thoracle back from the graveyard. But here it's left in because it's just a
An
strong.
accidentally good reanimator hate piece. Yes,
Exactly.
incredible. I remember that card from playing Hermit Druid long ago. That was basically the updated Crozen Reclamation that you could use because it's just one mana cheater for your graveyard. But nowadays, yeah, if there are so many blue black reanimators running around, it's just a nice card to also just have. Incredible how your safety backup piece is actually one of the best cards you could possibly draw.
Yeah, so looking at Mengu's hand, I saw a reanimator reanimate, and he's tanking on. He's also got the Entomb, it seems. Okay. So it looks like he's thinking of whether to bait out or actually go under the Memories Journey while he can.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that would be the right spot right now because that's the only time where
hmm.
people doesn't have access to it.
But he did see the Force of Will. So I think what he was thinking was, can I burn this Entomb Reanimate as a 2-for-1? Um, which he opted not to and pondered instead, going for the long game. I suspect that means one, he probably doesn't have a counter spell to back it up, and two, he probably doesn't want to play the 2-for-1 game because of the Nadu. Okay.
Ooh, and there it is. Nado, right on time. Andrea is going to cast Entomb at the end of turn.
Okay. So basically, Mengu's saying that I'm gonna split up the turns on where I'll set up my reanimate, and with Ponder I'll sculpt my hand to look for the counterspell backup.
So if there are
So
two reanimates now, it would work. And Pivo kind of has to now, yeah, we see two reanimates. And Pivo has to kind of guess what is the double piece because if you counter the entomb and there's two reanimates, that's where you win. That's where you gain the advantage because then the animate is dead. But if he has two entombs, you're supposed to counter the reanimate.
mhm.
And that's basically a coin flip at this point. And he chooses to do the entomb, which, wow, is the right play at the right time.
Yeah, Marco, super precise player. Generally, it's better to go for the entombs rather than the reanimate because, yes, you don't know which side they have more of. You might be punished if they have an extra copy of entomb, but um, an entomb resolving and having that big balmy creature in the graveyard for any top deck reanimate spell to be, you know, fired off would be a higher risk. So generally, you
Ooh.
want to stop the setup piece rather than reanimate
And
itself.
there is actually also a second entomb. So in this case, it didn't even matter. No matter what you chose, it was inevitable. And Andrea chose to go for Atraxa instead of taking an Archon of Cruelty, which would have gotten rid of the Nadu. But here also a backup thought sees,
Mhm.
okay, yes, it's safe, and there's Atraxa. Ooh.
I'm actually suspecting that Mengu has the Archon in hand, hence going for this play. Generally, in this matchup, both Atraxa and Archon are very, very strong. But I would actually say post-board, Archon is significantly more stronger than Atraxa. And here,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's it. Andrea, yeah, as you said correctly, Archon in hand prevented it from getting into the graveyard, and that was the reason there was an Atraxa chosen. And oh yeah, Force of Will revealing from the Atraxa seals the deal because Pivo knows no matter what he does, it will be countered. And Atraxa is such a quick and efficient beater. Yeah, that's Andrea 5-2. We saw Andrea's tiebreaker are extremely well positioned to make it into top 8 with that score. So we'll probably see more of Andrea uh, from the semifinals. We also do have a second match for top 8. Maybe we have that ready to watch in a few seconds.
Mhm. Yeah, but Mengu, I'm super happy for him to be in the top 8, but super formidable opponent. So
So maybe you're going to play against Andrea. Is that a matchup
maybe.
you would be looking forward to?
Um, Generally, I'm happier to play. Yeah, I'm happier to play against blue black rather than like things like Stompy or other combo decks. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm happy. Also, I'm just super happy if I get to play Mangu. Gonna
Ah.
be a good
You're one
tight
of those I
match.
enjoy the challenge people.
Yeah, maybe I have the Saiyan blood in me.
It's like give me the strongest one in the quarterfinals so I already passed through. Okay, yes, we do have a backup match.
Hmm,
It's
interesting match.
another 4-2 matchup, which probably the winner is going to make top 8. We assume those are both winning in matchups. And we see Blue Painter against Band Nadu. Now, Blue Painter is a very explosive and threatening deck because it can win just as soon as like turn 1 or 2.
Hmm.
And for those of you who haven't seen the deck or even know what Painter actually means, Painter Servant is a 2 mana artifact, a creature where you can change the color of any card to a certain color. And the reason why you choose blue is because you play some cards that counter blue spells, Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast. So you usually go for that sort of interaction. Sometimes you name black to protect your creatures from, let's say, Snuff Out. But the other part of the combo is Grindstone, which is a 1 mana artifact that activates for 3, and then it mills 2 cards. And if they happen to have the same color, because we'll know they're both blue from the Painter 7, then you repeat the process, repeating indefinitely, milling your opponent. The whole combo costs you 6 mana, 2 from the Painter Servant, 1 from the Grindstone, 3 from the activation. And you have multiple ways of making it cheaper. You play lands that make 2 mana, like a City of Traders, an Ancient Tomb, and you have some form of, making your opponent's life really hard until you achieve that combo. Of course, it's another deck where Urza Saga shines because you get most of your good cards, the Grindstone, some other relevant pieces for free by playing a land. But on the other side, we see Bandnado actually is up a game, if that's correct. Luca here winning the first game. We catch them right after sideboarding.
Yeah, so actually Luca was my round 2 opponent, and he was playing the Cephalid version of Nadu as well. So it was a mirror match. And Luca actually a super, super young player, also happens to be the Swiss national champion for Legacy.
Mm. So you can
So
already see the expertise.
yeah, he's probably more expert, got more expertise than me, let's say.
Oh, wow. Okay, here we have a look at the deck list. Yes, you say this is the same idea, the same concept of playing a creature that has an ability that targets for 0, like the Nomad and Core, or the artifact equipment that equips for 0, and then targeting either Nadu for a lot of value or the Illusionist for the combo, and therefore win the game. This looks awfully close like the list you have.
I would actually say his list is better for this matchup. He has more key one-offs such as um, uh, sorry, this is the wrong list. The other list. Yeah, so he has a disenchant on top of the Serenity, as well as a surgical extraction, and these will help him combat what Alex would want to pull off better. So I suspect that Luca, unlike what Marco did in the blue-black reanimator matchup, I suspect Luca will leave in most of the combo and try be a combo control deck
Mhm.
where he would try and just not die to what Alex is presenting, and then just immediately follow it up with a combo finish, because the painter deck actually can play the really long game with things like Urza Saga uh, and Emery, which is a big differentiation from the red version.
Yes, normally, or the painter decks in the past used to be red, therefore abusing the interaction of painter servant making something blue and using all the counter spells. But this one is actually using the new super hyped, very good card of stock up, which is divination on steroids, basically looking at 5 cards, choosing 2. And this is such a good selection that even found its way to legacy and vintage. Yeah, very powerful card. And it gets filled up by a lot of artifacts. You see Lotus Petal, Mishra's Bubble, Moxopel, all of those things that fuel the very common artifact synergies in Thoughtcast and Embry. And then from this very cheap, very efficient deck list going into sometimes playing the control role, playing some Force of Wills, but then ultimately with the One Ring and the mana advantage into the combo. Game 2, Soul Guide Senten. Ooh, and Urza Saga, Mishra's Bubble, another Lotus Petal. Very good start here, using basically all the resources possible. We see a Painter Servant, so that already spells I want to combo next turn, but Format All Stars Consigned to Memory
Mhm.
counters a colorless spell. Painter Servant is not a color on the stack or in your hand, it's an artifact, but only as soon as Painter Servant hits the graveyard, the battlefield, you name a color, and then
Yeah.
everything becomes that color.
So this is super important because if that painter system resolved, any future copies of Consigned to Memory would be to basically no use because of the interaction you've mentioned previously. So super clutch Consigned to Memory here. I'm guessing that's a big reason why Luca kept the hand on the draw uh, to have that interaction for a turn 2 potential things like Painter Servant or the One Ring.
So you, as a obviously combo player, you need to develop a sense when to go for the combo. So what make Alexey now play the Painter Servant out just like that, or maybe wait or use a different form from his Ogre Saga? Where lay the priorities in this matchup?
So basically, I'd say yes, Alex could have waited for the painter and made a construct instead, but the saga is going to go off to 3. So basically, it's presenting a will force check. If, let's say, Luca didn't have the consign and didn't have the force, uh, basically, it would mean that uh, Luca would have to interact some way with his 1 mana or 2 mana on his turn. So it's basically kind of like a remand effect where if you go for the combo, you're pushing your opponent back behind their foot, causing them to lose tempo and not progress their own combo. So I'm guessing that's why Alex jammed for the painter turn 2. And here, that this is the sign and also the showing of why blue painter is so strong. Like even after going for the combo turn 2, like Alex just has no problem rebuilding with things like the saga token, the infinite thought casts, baubles, cantrips. So yeah, I would say Alex um, piloting this deck really well and being super far ahead at the moment.
But as it is with any legacy combo deck, it can be over in just another blink if you assemble the combo. There is a Nadu, and Nadu guarantees basically 4 targets.
Yes, normally, but here Alex made the very clutch play of instead of getting the grindstone. Okay, I'm just gonna play the fair game. I'm just gonna beat down with the construct, draw cards, and just gonna play the long game from there. So I don't want the Nadu to provide infinite value to Luca. So instead of getting that grindstone, Alex searched a pithing needle, naming the Nomad, hence denying four cards per turn.
Yeah, this is super relevant. Very good choice. Kind of banking that your construct is going to go all the way as a 6/6 right now on the board, but also at least preventing imminent doom for now. Of course, if there's another artifact like a Shuko that can turn quite easily, because you are still able to equip Shuko, only the Nomad and Core is prevented to use its ability. That's a Teferi. Teferi also a problem in itself, mainly because right now he can bounce the construct, draw a card, remove all the pressure, while also probably not even be able to be dealt with because of Nadu blocking the Haywire Might. Teferi is a big threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this may be one of the best follow-up Luca could have, because not only will it force Alex, pun intended, to check for, okay, do you have any counter spells? But also it's gonna threaten to remove either the construct or the pithing needle for for the Nadu to go off and hopefully hit like a counter spell to counter the needle coming back down. Okay, so super clutch, sink into stupor, and now Alex continues to play the tempo role. And I would say still very far ahead. So Shuko or Saga wouldn't have been a great draw for Luca because of the Haywire Might and Mox Opal threatening to activate at instant speed. So yeah, Teferi was a very good draw, but Alex having the key answer.
But that's only a one turn answer. So you're still having to face the same question next turn. What are you going to do about that Teferi? Teferi can't resolve. This is a Painter 7 from the very fancy artifact series from Kaladesh.
Okay, so here Alex is making an interesting attack of, okay, I'm gonna let you eat my Haywire Might for free. Um, no, he's offering the trade because of the needle. Essentially because there's the Teferi coming down to potentially just bounce the needle. So very good attack from Luca. And yeah, it's a desperation Teferi, which gets meet by a force pitching an artifact, but that's turned on because of the Painter Servant.
Yeah, that's one of the neat combos of Painter 7. Because you're painting everything blue, including cards in your hand, you now have access to your Force of Will cards that are artifacts, but you can ask them. And Force of Will doesn't care if it's an artifact, it only cares if it's a blue card, and Painter 7 is yes. Now it's a blue card. Very, very important and very relevant piece of interactions. And now, yeah, Nomad and Core has to start jumping the big construct. Luca's down to 4. Time is definitely running out.
Yeah, definitely. And
Ponder finds nothing. Instant shuffle. It's basically Shoku or bust. Is that what you're looking for?
I would say removal spell or bust at this point. Because with the Shuko, it's going to get met by the Might activation. So it's only basically a cantrip, and you're probably hoping to cantrip into a removal spell anyway. So yeah, Luca goes for the Brainstorm. Super, super hard digging for the removal spell. Fetches away. Okay, clearing the top. Potentially gonna. Okay, so he
It's a
goes for
prismatic ending. Okay.
ending for the needle, so you can expect a
And
nomad.
another encore. Okay, so that means if that is happening, we have 4 triggers. Unfortunately, Nakamura are not entering the battlefield because, well, that is a card drawn. There's 1 land. The cool part is you get to do that all over again, your opponent's turn as well. Mystic Rainfoil is going to be fetched. If there would be a second land, that would already make the combo work because we saw a Cephalid Illusionist entering the hand. but as of now, there's only one mana that you can use, that Tundra. Is that going to be enough? You cannot really instant speed your stuff. Also, you have to somehow fight the Soullight Scanton on the other side. That is going to be problematic. That is another prismatic ending. No, Swords to Plowshares on the construct. Now you're 2. Okay, you're 2. You can block. Is that going to be enough? All right, here's a path.
I think Luke is stabilized here. Like, there's 4 more activations from the Nadu Nomad pair, which
Mox Opal makes a mana. Sacrifice for another one. That's a 1 ring. Oh, it's Force of Negation. Yeah. And that is probably... Oh, there's a Dread Return going to hand. Brainstorm, yes. Force of Will. 4 triggers. Untap. You get another 4 triggers from the Nadu. That is a Pithing Needle saying Haywire Might or Soul Guide's Lantern, probably the Lantern, and then, yeah, that's it, right? Lantern is gone, and so are you. Luca just going through the motions.
So we saw the Dread Return being revealed with the Nadu, so I'm assuming he's just gonna put that back on top for it.
Yes. Target, 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 win. Yes. There you go. Luca is indeed winning that match and therefore probably going into the 8. Pretty nice. So it seems to me this Syphilid Breakfast combo, or Bandnado as it here, is a very real deck. Now, with 3 players in the top 8, pretty strong.